What's going on, everybody? Kweku here, back with another video. If you've been following this channel already, you know that the other day I posted a little hint at what is to come today as of watching. This is Windows 8.1 Pro. We're going way back when, before Windows 10, before definitely Windows 11 that just happened this past October, all the way back to Windows 8.1 Pro. Windows 8.1 was the operating system that pretty much like brought the live tiles to fruition, and it was complete change of pace for Microsoft. For starters, came to general retail availability on October 26th, 2012, and it was released to manufacturer on August 1st of that year, 2012. So it was just a radical difference. And I'm running this obviously in Hyper-V. Obviously this is Windows 8.1, not 8, so that's that next major version of Windows 8. And what came with it right here was this glorious area right here, which we call live tiles. Now, you might have heard of this live tile phenomenon from the Windows 10 days and might have wanted it back, or heard about people wanting it back from Windows 11. You know that Microsoft got rid of live tiles pretty much in the later days of Windows 10 in favor of more static icons. They kind of tried to keep it around in the start menu for Windows 11 or Windows 10, and then it went away completely in Windows 11. So this is how live tiles look like. The point of this video, mainly I want to get to show you guys just a throwback to the Windows 8 days, Windows 8.1 days. This is where I pretty much got my start on YouTube, was during these days. I used to do app reviews from this here store, which we're going to jump into if it even works, because I know sometimes this store does not work for me, and we're just kind of have a conversation, kind of a one-sided conversation about this stuff. So this is the old Windows store. They didn't call it the Microsoft store at this time. It changed later on in the Windows 10 days, but this is what we called the Windows store, and it had all of your applications that you could download, including Netflix. So if you click Netflix, let's see what pops up. Okay, so you see it looks like a Windows 10 styled Netflix, because it is kind of all tied together. And if I go back, I can go and find even VLC for Windows Store. And was this published by VLC? It was uploaded, by Videoland, and this is how VLC looked like for the Windows Store. So if I hit install, I wonder if it'll let me install it. I think it will. And then if I click this one too, it says other apps by Videoland, because there are two versions of it, as you know, in the current Windows 11 store. So you can see this is how it kind of pretty much looks like right now. This is one I made the video on recently. And then just going through, you can see just the layout of this store was completely different. You had your little menu icons here. It was the style of interface that it was called here, was called Metro. And basically what Metro was if you look at a Metro transit system, anywhere you go, they usually have big blocks of logos sitting there, preferably letters and things like that. And this is where you probably had a Zune HD or a Zune or a Windows Phone or any of those things, and they all followed the Metro design language before Microsoft got sued, and they had to change it. So this went through a lot of phases, and there's this store. All it did was scroll left and right. There's Reddit for RedHub. I did try to look up files UWP, since the store is kind of linked to the store we have today. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you guys the current store on Windows 11. This is how it looks like currently. And then this is how, in fact, let me stretch out the store for Windows 11 so you guys can kind of see how that even looked like. So making it the same size, this is how the Windows 11 store looks like. It looks more, I keep wanting to say modern, because obviously it looks modern. And then if I minimize it, this is how the Windows store looked like, or what became the Microsoft store looked like. So it looks interesting. I remember doing a video, I think, on RedHub and a bunch of other things. There was an app called YouTube RT, I believe. I don't know if it's this. Yep, MetroTube. I remember this one. It even says I owned it. So if I click MetroTube, this was application by, what is it, Lazy Worm Applications. Yep, I remember these days, 2015 very well. This was a thing from Lazy Worm Applications. They used to make a lot of applications for this stuff. Now it only went down to one. And this was because we still don't have a YouTube application on Windows, and this was them making a YouTube app that was following that version's design language, which was Metro. So if I kind of go through, will it let me actually scroll through? Yeah. So if I go through, you see that that's the style that it took. It took a very mobile, a very Zune kind of look to it. So that was pretty cool. So let me go back And then you might be wondering, for Windows 8 and 8.1, if you weren't paying attention to it at the time, how do you go back? Because I don't see a start menu. I don't see anything other than your keyboard. You can go to the corner, right? And then you see your desktop shows up. And if you go to the corner and then you go down and see how difficult it is. If you go to the corner, let's see if it'll let me, yep, and go down quickly. There you go. And then I can go to the desktop. And then this is the desktop as you're familiar with. This is the File Explorer as you're familiar with. It looks pretty much like what we have today, other than like obviously some UI tweaks, but it's the same File Explorer. In fact, let me see if I can pull up the File Explorer real quick for you guys. So this right here is the File Explorer. This is this PC for my current PC right here. And this is how it used to look like. So you can see the difference right there. Side by side, you can see the difference, how the folders look and things like that. So it is a pretty stark difference in design, definitely. And then one of the more interesting things, of course, there weren't too heavy service packs for these kind of versions. So if you go to settings here, in fact, I'll go to control panel. You can see here that I have 129 updates to do for this. So if I click here, you can see 129 important updates and 6 optional updates. And if I click it, you can see all of the security patches, all the updates from Windows 8.1 64-bit systems and malware tools. There are 2 settings applications, obviously, just like there is now. And this one even doesn't show everything, but it shows some of it because I didn't select optional updates on here. But this is just the other view that you can see those updates. Of course, when we fast forward to Windows 10 and Windows 11, there was really only one interface to download updates, which I do not have an update right now to use. So this was settings for Windows 8. Everything was on one side. Everything was fully laid out. Everything was supposed to be very touch friendly. That's why everything is really big and there's easy accessible touch points. And then you see there's a button to go to control panel to get the rest of your things because they hadn't finished putting things into it. Going back to the start, so we didn't call this the start menu. We called this the start screen because it took up the entire screen to do anything with it. I think there was an update out that I haven't installed yet out of those 130 that made the background actually show the desktop's background instead. So that way you weren't completely thrown out of the game. And if you click down, you got your apps. They didn't say applications, it just said apps. So once again, it was a different time. Also, you might be wondering, how do I search? How do I shut down and things like that on here? Well, shut down, if you're in the start screen, you just click this power button right here, and then you can choose update and restart or shut down. And if you want to search, you can simply type search here and then, filter where you want to search there. Or I think you can just start typing. So VLC, yep. You can see that I can just hit search and it'll just start like that. What else do I want to say? I wanted to look into maybe the music application because we had full screen touch music applications. This was Xbox Music. You got 50 Cent there. You got a bunch of things. It's going to populate it with my library, of course. Obviously, Xbox and music label is not attached anymore. Update available. I knew it. I'm going to hit cancel because I'm sure it's going to remove it from me. But Xbox and music is not a thing anymore. This turned into just music. And then it turned into, I think, Groove Music. And then it just turned to just the music application. And that's about it. And now it's just the media player for Windows in Windows 11. So this was now playing and things like that. It says choose tunes from your collection. So I'm gonna say, let's say I'm gonna play some J. Cole. I'm gonna play, let's say, Sideline Story from J. Cole. I wonder if it's gonna populate it for me. Populate the thing. So let's see. I know desktop audio is not playing for it, so that's what I want. Will it play? Let me see. I don't believe it wants to play, but essentially, yep, it says can't play, couldn't find your audio device because I haven't set up an audio device for this yet. So, oh well. But in general, what is happening here? Hit close one more time. See, now it's like stuck for me. You see the players flashing. It's kind of broken right now, so I'm gonna just go back and ignore that, like that never happened. There you go. So basically, Windows 8, what happened with it was it kind of hybridized Windows 7's feels, where you see this is pretty much Windows 7 at the taskbar level down here. And then it threw Metro on top of it. It regurgitated Metro design language on top of it. And that kind of changed the whole thing. Weather. I'll hit weather here and see how did weather look like back in those days. I'm not going to bother showing you guys paint just because paint looks pretty much the same today. I know we just got an updated paint. but Paint pretty much has looked the same for God knows amount of time. They've barely updated it, except for during Windows 11 when they actually thought about updating those core applications. I don't believe Weather is going to load. It's going to take a little too long. So I'm actually going to go back. And then in general, you had your people there. I'm not going to click that because I'm sure I have contacts on there. But yeah, I guess in general, we had a lot of things. We had Bing integration. We had Windows 7. We had Windows 7 things. But I guess the final thing that I wanted to talk about was the charms. Microsoft, this is when Steven Sinofsky was head of Windows, and he was the one that kind of pushed and pioneered this idea of Windows going tablet first, or tablet oriented. And so there were a lot of hitting corners or live corners or hot corners in Windows 8. That's what people didn't like, because everything wasn't discoverable. You had to kind of guess that in the corner, if I go here, things will pop up, and then I can switch, or Alt Tab. So if you go here to the right corner, right, and then you go down, you see these are called the charms here. And this is where you got your search, easy shortcut to search, share, start. So in case you didn't have a keyboard that worked, or you had a touchscreen, you could swipe in and it will open this up for start. You could choose devices that you can mirror to and play to. It doesn't work very well with mouse and keyboard, clearly. And then you can go to settings just from there. But overall, everything was pretty hidden. It was hard to see things. You can see I'm even having trouble doing this. So you can imagine the mainstream people trying to access charms. There we go. So it was a weird thing. Did it work? Did I do YouTube from it? Of course I did. I used a little HP laptop that doesn't exist today, but I just wanted to get this thing out there. It's been like 12 minutes. I wanted to get this out there just to show you guys a throwback of the past. Windows 8. Metro design language. We weren't at Fluent yet. We weren't even at what Microsoft wanted to call modern design, or modern UI is what they called it after this. This was when we had Microsoft SkyDrive instead of OneDrive. In fact, if I see this, this does OneDrive now, but we had Microsoft SkyDrive, and even before 8.1 came out, we didn't even have a start button here anymore. They had gotten rid of the start button altogether, and you had to just use your keyboard or do those charms gestures to go to start, which once again I cannot get to. And that's where Surface pretty much ended up getting a start button on the actual hardware start button on Surfaces. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Were you a fan of Windows 8? Do you miss Windows 8? I know some of you miss tiles, live tiles, especially in the Windows 8 iteration of it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.